Welcome to another episode of Behind the Dreamers. I'm your host, Jennifer Loading, and we are talking to the achievers, the creators, the magic makers, and the dreamers. These are our friends. These are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. Well, I'm so excited about my guests, and I know my audience hears me say this every time, but I just keep getting amazing guests, and so I'm always excited when somebody new comes on. He has been a featured soloist across 4 continents, on PBS 3 times, in major concert venues, including Madison Square Garden, Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center, and many more. And so you guys are going to be in for sure. That's all I'm going to tell you right now until I get him on here. But he's awesome. I love what he's doing. And you guys are going to be in for an awesome episode. So before I do that, I do need to make a quick couple announcements here real quick. This episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Productions. Need to add excitement to your YouTube videos or some expert hands for editing? Look no further. Walt Mills is the solution you've been searching for. Walt is not only your go-to guy for spicing up content, he's the force behind a thriving film production company with numerous titles in the pipeline. Always on the lookout for raw talent, Walt is eager to collaborate on film and internet productions. With a background deeply rooted in entertainment and promotion, Walt Mills leverages years of skills to give you the spotlight you deserve. Want to learn more about Walt and his work? Head on over to waltmillsproductions.net and let your content shine.
Entrepreneurs, are you ready to level up your leadership skills? Tune in now for an exclusive offer designed just for you.
This is my time.
Did you know 63% of consumers prefer businesses aligned with their values? Recognizing your core values isn't just vital for business growth, it's the bedrock of effective leadership. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or an aspiring creator, identifying your core values is a key step in constructing the framework of a successful leader, enabling you to lead authentically, expand your business, and live life on your terms.
Never settled on play, putting the kettle to flame. I go 100 all day, foot on the pedal, no brakes. 10, 9, paid on my dues, waited in line, 8, 7.
Are you ready to access tools to kickstart your leadership journey? Unlock a treasure trove of insights and get your free resources at www.linktree/Jennifer Loading. Take that crucial first step toward realizing your leadership aspirations and elevate your leadership game today.
Ready to shine, brighter than
All right, now that I got all that out, I get to talk to my guests, and I'm excited about this. So Asher Laub, he's an electric violinist, composer, producer, and live performer. As an independent artist, he's found ways to monetize his music by both pushing conventional boundaries in composition and implementing creative strategies that inspire fans to keep consuming his unique music. So Asher, welcome to the show. I am so excited to chat with you today.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
And so, I looked at your work, some of your work, before I talked to you the first time. And then I went back in there again and looked at some more of your work. And you are just like an awesome creator. I love it. Love the energy. Love what you're doing. I just think it's fun. And what a great way to do what you love doing.
Well, thank you so much. Your kind words are appreciated. I'm a fun-loving kind of guy. I switched 2 previous career paths for a reason, because I was really looking for joy in my life. And I think I found it.
That is so awesome. And I talk about this all the time because everybody that comes on my show, I feel like, one of the beauties of what we get to do is we get to do the things we love doing, right? And when you figure out that, and then you can find a way to monetize that, you score big time, right? So awesome to be able to do that. But just even to listen to you say you switched through 2 careers to get where, to do what you do now. And it's so interesting because so many people end up doing that, right? But then there's so many people that never do that. They stay at a job and do things that they really don't love and never get to have that opportunity to do what you do.
Yeah. And there's a growing number of people who are like-minded, and they're kind of looking for other things to do, to work independently, to earn an income in a way that's more meaningful to them, instead of just sort of like doing the daily 9-to-5 corporate, grind. This came, I would say this was sort of a blessing in disguise, that sort of emerged around the time that I'm saying about 8-9 years ago, when I lost the strength, the physical strength to do anything, to be productive. And that's sort of what forced me to think about what else I could consider doing that would still earn me an income. So I wouldn't wish that experience upon anybody else, but it's sort of what I needed, because I have about 6-7 years now under my belt of experience in the music industry as an independent artist.
So awesome. Yeah. And I did read your notes and saw that you had something health-wise that came about.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that, I feel like people that have these kinds of stories, like they have these traumatic things that happen, but it's what they do with it in the aftermath that I think is truly inspiring. And those are my favorite stories. I love overcoming stories because I just think they're the best. When so many people have, they have things that happen to them and they sort of just sit down and accept that as their reality, right? And then there's others that take something and they go, I'm going to do something. And I'm going to be different. I'm going to take what I have and I'm going to figure out a way to get around it and make good.
Yeah. And in my case, I was fortunate enough to have already been earning an income in music, but it was very much part-time and I was working my way through school. It was just sort of this idea. Okay, this is the one other skill that I have. Right. So maybe I could sort of take that direction. But I feel really, really grateful that I'm able to do what I do today. This career wouldn't have existed 20 years ago. Right, I couldn't have been able to earn an income remotely. I would have had to have actually done touring, which I do still plan to do. But at this point, I love connecting with fans, producing music, and just having people listen remotely and support me that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you were doing violin at a very young age. You started this, I read, when you were like 2.
Yeah.
And it's impressive to me.
Well, it wasn't a real violin. It was a margarine box.
Gotcha.
But I was 3 when I was actually holding a real wood violin, miniature Suzuki instrument. And I was actually doing formal training at that point, believe it or not. But yeah, that was just kind of plucking the strings, the rubber bands, which served as strings at the age of 2.
Sure. I think that's awesome. Well, and they say, I was just talking about this with somebody in a previous episode. We were talking about, they always say you have to have these 10,000 hours to do something. And so, because he was talking about how things were flowing more freely now. Like, it's like things kind of click, right? It's, you do the hours and you put in the work and you've just been doing this. So for you, this is not that you're not still growing and learning and composing and writing, but for you, this is your flow thing. It's like your thing. You know what I mean?
It's my everything, aside from my family, but career-wise, it's really my everything. It gives to me in a way that other careers were not able to give to me. It's stressful. It's challenging. I have to wear a lot of different hats. It's like being an entrepreneur in any other type of career, but it's fun. Forces me to think like a kid, really, in a sense. Like, I want to have fun. I want to enjoy my life, and that's why it's sort of good that that's what I do. 24/7.
It's awesome. I had my co-host I used to work with me. She was an American Idol star, so we talked to a lot of. It was neat because she'd bring a lot of musicians and people, and I think it's neat when you get to be able to do that creative work, make something out of it. And I had a really good question I was going to ask you, and I forgot what the question is because I'm so impressed with all this anyways. The question will come back to me. So we're going to sidebar and go a different direction real quick. I want to know, because we talked about you being on PBS and Carnegie Hall. Let's talk about these experiences that you've been able to do in these places that you've been able to travel. Maybe share some of that with us, because I think for our listeners, this is kind of something they don't get to experience, right?
It's not too typical. So I haven't done the standard international touring route where I'm hopping on a tour bus and I'm going from city to city and draining myself of all the reserve energy. I mean, that's pretty much what international tour is, or even like a domestic tour. I've done concerts, sort of per diem. So I'll fly out to LA for a couple of days. I might do 2 concerts, come back, go to Texas, come back. I kind of prefer that. It's more conducive to family life, which is really kind of my goal. I do about 200 plus events per year, private events, concerts, just all sorts of things that are violin centric. And that's kind of the bulk of my income. And I travel a lot. I try to stay as regional as possible, again, for family, but that's what I've been doing for the last 6-7 years. And that's pretty much the core of the business that I run. I'm trying to shift a little bit to a little bit more towards film production, so I can be even closer to home. I don't know if it's not as easy for me at the moment. For some reason, just the people that are calling are booking agents and concert producers, that type of stuff. But that's kind of my goal. I'd like to spend a lot more time at home and pump out the ton of productions that you hear right now on Spotify. You can check out Asher Laub or Phil's Productions also.
I've been on there. I checked you out.
Yeah. There's symphonies, there's EDM, there's a mixture of different genres that I'm just trying to touch people with
I love it. I love it. So, and I've even seen some of your videos, and I think you're definitely unique in what you do. And I think I saw a Justin Timberlake one that you were on. I was watching. I'm like, I got to check out this guy, see what his work's all about. But you do awesome work.
Thank you. That was to remember. That was like a breakdancing performance with not TNT. It was like I'm trying to who. It was a bunch. It was a big production in Manhattan. I remember.
I don't remember who it was. I think there's a couple of different videos on there, and I was like flipping through them to see. But you have some. Did you tell me you have some songs coming out, or did they just recently come out?
So I just released Ancon Mind Cherie, which is a music video right now. It's on YouTube. I did not release an associated studio production on the major streaming platforms, which I typically do, because it is a Bollywood song. So it's a different ballgame when it comes to Bollywood, South Asian, Hindi type music, which I love. I'm not South Asian, by the way. But for some reason, there's like red tape around the royalties. So even if it's a cover and the masters are mine, so I just keep it to YouTube. As far as original music, I have two songs that are in the works that I'm trying to reserve for film at the moment. Little Things is on my website, asherlob.com. If you want to hear it, it's available nowhere else. But if you want to check it out before it hits film, gotcha. You're welcome to. And I am in the midst of another EDM release, a lot like Neon Dreams, which is really my biggest single. EDM classical is really the subgenre. And I have like a bunch of other projects. I don't like want to overwhelm you with all the details.
You have a lot of stuff out there because like I said, I went through it. I think it's awesome. I would love to know, being an entrepreneur, because I feel like this show is all about, the journey. I told you it's all about, what you do, how you got here, what you've learned and all those things. I'd love to know maybe some of the struggles, because I know, you mentioned kind of balancing time with the family, being home more, and I get all that. Maybe some other things as an entrepreneur that surfaced for you as you were trying to get this into that start to make money, monetizing this thing, this passion of yours.
Struggles. What are those? What are struggles?
Right?
As an independent musician, it's endless. It's endless. There are new challenges, right? You're the CEO of your own company. So, right. That's essentially what being an entrepreneur is. And you're taking risks at every point, where to invest your time, your money, just the various campaigns that help to grow your business. And, just a couple of the hats that I wear, just sort of give you an idea to the world that I'm living. So, I'll spend an exorbitant amount of time on certain releases that I want to get. Capture the attention of maybe labels or certain producers, that type of stuff. And I don't know if the song that I release, that I work hours and hours or maybe weeks on, will resonate with that particular person. So it's kind of like being in a sense, my wife, for example, is a professor. So she publishes. So she has a painful, all professors, my heart goes out to them. They spend endless hours pumping out research just to be rejected by all these publications. And that's kind of what I have to do as a musician. I know I'm going to get rejected, and just the hope is that it's going to land, you aim for the stars, you land somewhere on the moon. Is that the phrase?
Yeah. Land for the moon, you land on the stars. That's what it is. Yeah. I mix those things. We got the
sky out there. Yeah. So, for me, it's about putting one foot in front of the other, even if I know that I'm going to inevitably face rejection. It happens to me all the time. It's like it's part and parcel to my career. I will be rejected pretty much every day of the 365 days of this year. And what I do with it is the most important thing. Ignore it. Well, not ignore it, but not let it get me down, and just sort of use that as fuel to improve my craft and get accepted to other publications, other media sources, other tastemakers, as they call them. And the more I kind of continue in the grind, the more opportunities come my way. Another struggle I have faced, which maybe most of the listeners on your podcast sort of encounter, would be the data crunching, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. And I don't know how many musicians think about it as a business that way, because maybe some of the bigger musicians, they just sort of depend on managers, on management. I try to do everything that I possibly can. I have employees underneath me that help me with outreach and manage social media and all sorts of other campaigns. But I have to kind of oversee the data. What am I spending? What's my ROI per month? What campaigns are winning, losing? And it's never ending. I'm constantly reevaluating, and that's the only way to grow, or at least not to shrink. And naturally, I have, as a result, found a certain degree of stability that I'm really proud of. I think the stability alone is an achievement.
I agree. I think this is good. And thank you for sharing that, because it's so right. And you were mentioning social media. I was like cringing because that is a thing. Social media. I just hate it. It's like I talk about it all the time. But I love doing podcasts. I love interviewing people. I love finding the people, having the conversations. But when it comes to the other part of it, I am like, I don't like it. I just don't like it. And it's crazy because you're right. I mean, like as an entrepreneur, you're always having to deal with something. I had a mentor that used to say, like, if you didn't have a fire burning in like one of the areas, then you're probably not in business, right? Like you got to have something going on all the time, and you put your energy into different places. If right now it's this, if it's marketing, or if it's doing the work, if it's, sales, whatever it is, you always have something you got to be, coming up on and paying attention to. So thank you for sharing that, because I think it's important.
It's my pleasure. And just to speak to that, I would say that my greatest challenge is pinpointing the priorities, just because you sort of mentioned that. I struggle with that on a daily basis, to be honest. I have two priorities that are just about equal, and I have to choose A versus B. And the worst thing you could do is choose neither, because you're just kind of juggling between the two. And
yes. And I can hear you. I can't say that I know how you feel, because I've never been a musician, but I can certainly resonate with what you're saying, having to pick priorities, and especially when you have a family and trying to figure out, where do you need to be spending your time? It's, I was in the network marketing space for 20 something years. And so I can tell you just so many funny stories about when my kids were little and I was trying to work. And I remember going to an appointment, and people will laugh about this, because this woman had a doggy door in her house, and I brought my son, he was in diapers to this appointment, and he was trying to crawl through the doggy door of the woman at the woman's house while I'm trying to work. And so we juggle all these things, but I think the beauty of being the entrepreneur, you have all these other parts, but you have all these great parts that give you the autonomy and the freedom to do what you love and inspire, and all the other pieces that kind of help make those hard challenges not so bad,
What just came to mind was a memory about a year and a half ago. My daughter, about a year ago, she's 2 and change. She in the middle of an interview, she was asleep, and I was thinking, okay, I can make this through the interview. It's gonna be just 45 minutes. She wakes up, and she was at least not crying, so that didn't destroy the interview. But then she got excited. She saw that the video camera was facing me, and she said, "Dada!" I was talking about my career, and then she started climbing on my shoulders and giving me kisses. And thank God, like the guy was really understanding. He thought it was really cute, but totally unprofessional.
Well, that's what I said. That's, it's life. It happens. When you have kids, sometimes that stuff just happens, right? I would have probably been laughing. I would have gotten a kick out of it. I've had dogs. I've had all kinds of things come on the show on the other end. So it's been great. So we talked about the hardships. I want to know, like, basically, what do you feel like? You've said a lot of really good things here. And as an entrepreneur and a creator, like I said, we've talked to a lot of creators. I'm always inspired by their way they operate and do things. I would love to know, like, what have you did mention being organized, like knowing what to do first, but maybe some other things you've learned about yourself in this whole journey.
Well, I've learned more and more about myself, and what this has been a lifelong journey, just learning who I am and what I enjoy, what ticks, what makes me happy. Oddly enough, I mean, you figure I would have learned this by age 20 or something, but I guess I'm a different bird. I've spent an inordinate amount of time figuring out where do I want to focus my efforts. And within the context of music, I mean, first it was like 2 other careers. So that's a whole other, I should write a book about this. My life is just one big joke. But since I kind of landed on music, because of the various challenges involved, I've never been fully content with the sub situation I was in, whether it's like performing for certain bands, or I've always sort of ached for more, deeper connection with fans, or just wanting to be a part of films or whatever. So I have found that my brain is sort of evolving as I mature. And as I mature, I kind of pivot a little bit within the context of music. And so here I am doing something I wouldn't have anticipated 5 years ago, because 5 years ago, I was picturing myself 100% just doing touring. And now I see myself as really be more of a house cat, more oriented towards, production work. Got my studio here, and this is like my happy space. So
it's very cool. It's very cool. Yeah. And I do think we're continuing to learn all the time. And, that's why our priorities sort of change as we age too. Like, right. We may have had different goals when we were this age, and then we get into another season of our life, and then we evolve. And I think that's what's really kind of a beautiful thing, is that when you're able to take your craft and kind of evolve that, right? Like you talk about these past careers, and I always tell people, because I feel like I've done a lot of things too. I mean, I was with Mary Kay for a really long time. And then when I came out of that, I wrote a book, and I was doing this and I was doing that. But the interesting thing is that everything sort of kind of overlapped. It all really kind of was, I'm in the center, and all these things sort of kind of overlapped each other.
Yeah.
But it took me, I formed my LLC in 2018. And so now we're going into almost 2024. It took me really up until the last year. I worked with a mentor for 2 years to really get grounded on what I was trying to do. Like, what is my messaging with everything that I'm doing? What is it I'm trying to create with this all? So I do think it takes time, and we do continue to evolve. And, what's to say a few years from now, I may be doing something completely different. I might be doing a different type of podcast or something different. So I think that we have the right to be able to do that.
So as somebody who has spent probably the better part of like a year and a half with a couple of mentors, I'm actually curious if you in retrospect feel like it's been time well spent or well invested to have a mentor.
I have, and I will tell you this though. The beautiful thing is about when I was in the network marketing space, I had mentors for free because that's kind of how that operated. But I've always sort of gone out and paid for other stuff too, because I like to get out. I didn't want my information to just be from one place. I always feel like I want information coming in from different places, right? And so when I went to go do my life coaching certification, I paid a hefty, price for that. That was something different. But this mentor that I had, it was really ironic because he actually found me. He found me and some other people and said, "Hey, this is what I'm doing." And it was a really unique process. And so in that, yes, for me, that was beneficial because it allowed me, it was an additional piece that I needed to create a program that I was trying to create. And so it helped me to actually get that thing built out and make that move that I had not done. I've had some that haven't been so great. And I think that it's like everything we do in life, right? Like there's good and there's bad, and you have to do your research. But I do think that having somebody in your corner that can kind of, cheer you on and inspire you, help you grow. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, this is really piquing my interest because I don't know, I can't even tell if I've had good mentors or not. They're accomplished, really, really, really like big deal people. But so I guess my question is, would you say that your mentor who you admire was helpful because he gave you turnkey solutions, or because he helped you understand yourself better, or both? Because for me, I feel like a mentor, for them to be worth money and just investing my time,
sure.
It's got to be, I would need some turnkey solutions more than just like,
you need both. You really need both.
I'm your cheerleader. What?
Yeah, I think you need both. And that lends into a whole nother conversation of, like the consultant versus the coach, right? Like the consultant's going to have solutions, whereas the coach is more of you make you kind of decide the course, but they facilitate the process to help you. I kind of do both when I work with people. And to speak to that, about that mentor, they've all been different, Asher. I've had different ones at different times that have filled different spaces in my life. Do you know what I mean? Like there's times when I needed the cheerleader, I needed the affirmations. That was my whole career at Mary Kay. I got that for 22 years. I got the rah, you got this, you can do this. And it did help me, Asher, because it allowed me to grow a business, build teams, to earn cars in the company, to succeed in certain areas of my life, right? But then when I had this mentor, I needed something different. I didn't need the cheerleader anymore because I had it. I needed somebody who could give me a lot of the psychology and give me some solutions on how to build out my program. So I think these people come into your lives at different times for different things. And it's really where you're at in your life. You know what I mean? What you need at the moment that you're going through something. And so they've all lent to me different things.
So I'm just trying to clarify what's in my head. So the consultant gave you the turnkey solutions, and the mentor worked on the psychology, but was not in the cheerleader department.
They can be all of those. They can be different, but just to give you the difference, a consultant's probably, I know, consultant's probably going to be, this is really good because the audience was probably going to ask this question. I've talked about this several times. Yeah. Think of consultants, like if you do business coaching, a lot of those are business consultants, and a lot of them, they're giving you structure. They're giving you turnkey, next step, next step, next step. Mm-hmm. Think of coach and mentor sort of as a guide. They could be giving you some turnkey, but they're probably letting you figure this out, and they're helping you. So in other words, like I always tell people, I do both. That's why I'm kind of unique. You're a unique violinist. I'm sort of a unique coach because I have, life coaching business, but I do kind of a hybrid between things I've learned. How do I teach you skills, but also how do I be in a space where we do coaching, and mentoring? Because if you think about it, the way I always tell people is that if somebody tells us what to do, we don't always do it, right? But if it's our idea, we're on it. It's like we're on it like Donkey Kong, right? Yeah. Think like that. So you probably had some good ones, and you may have had some that weren't so great, but I think if you walk away and you feel like, hey, this person inspired me to want to change or do different, you might kind of have a coach in your corner or a mentor, because they're inspiring you. They're creating that desire to want to grow, be more, achieve more, right? And that's why I said these all fit in different times of your lives, because sometimes you need a person just to tell you, hey, how do I scale this business? Tell me the growth. Just tell me the numbers. What do I need to do? And then you need the person that says, hey, Asher, I'm going to help you do the unbelievable. You're going to need that coach, right? So they're
Robbins. Is that what Tony Robbins does?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I like his work too. He's kind of the inspire coach kind of. And I like both. They're different.
I know he's like the ultimate, and people spend thousands of dollars to go to his, and they're not like one-on-one sessions. It's like filling out Madison Square Garden and him like doing these hurrah sort of.
Yes.
I don't know things.
They get people to move in some ways. It doesn't work for everybody, right? Because some people, no matter how much you inspire, they're never going to make a move, right? Like they need more. And it just depends on where you're at, where we all are at the time that we're looking for someone. And I think if you find a good mentor, hopefully they sort of put that out there, their style, so that kind of this is how I work, and you're clear. And maybe if they're not clear, then you may not know. So those were good questions. Thank you. I don't know how we even got onto that, but those were good. I'm supposed to be interviewing you, and you're asking me that.
Well, yeah, I'm generally more intrigued by the people interviewing me than I am with myself. But
yeah, and I'm interested in you because of what you do, because I don't get to do that. It's so funny. That's why I love these conversations. It's so good. Yeah. So I do want to ask you, like, where is like the most coolest place you performed at, or maybe traveled to?
Well, I've performed at a lot of cool places. I'd say one of my favorite concerts was Master Theater, which was not too far away. It was like Brooklyn, Queens area. But, in terms of venue, hard to beat Madison Square Garden, Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center. These are iconic venues. Being on PBS was pretty amazing. I would say, traveling to other countries, has been a great experience, Ireland, and then out in the Scandinavian region. To be honest, it's more about like the experience for me with regards to like the connection that I have with the audience, the way that they're responding, more so than like how cool the venue is. Although I wouldn't, undervalue that. But that's just as a musician, as somebody who's just kind of, I take my craft seriously, not so much myself, but that's what it's all about for me. Just connecting with that. Even like I've had some great experiences just being here in my home studio, performing for people remotely, and just having just the deep connection with folks in Europe and Canada and just across the country. Like that's deeply meaningful to me too. And it's just about the connection for me.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think I taught aerobics for many years, and just to put this on a small scale, like I didn't have these big Carnegie Halls or any of that kind of stuff. But I will tell you, when I went into the classes where the people did not actively participate with me, they were exercising, but they didn't actively engage with me. They were extremely boring classes. The ones where I could get people like yelling and talking and getting excited, those are the ones I enjoyed. So I can, even though I can't say I've experienced your thing, I can in some ways understand I feel like I can kind of understand what you're saying, because there's no speaker, I feel like, or performer wants to get up and perform where people aren't engaging with them and they're having this kind of connection, right?
Yeah, well, I can actually speak a whole lot more to that, because as a former teacher of the DOE, I taught about 10 years ago.
Okay.
I was a science teacher, and I also ran a music program. And meanwhile, I was like, whatever, part-timing the whole music thing. But I found it pretty painful to prepare lessons, put your blood, sweat, and tears into a really good lesson that you want to just sort of engage students and have them like fall asleep on you.
Yeah.
I can totally relate. And
I was just like, no, you're not sleeping. You're not sleeping in my class.
Yeah, and there's a performance aspect to teaching, and there's a leadership aspect, many leadership aspects to teaching, which are sort of shared with also performing. So
sure, I could see that. I did not know you were a teacher. But I could totally see that. It's kind of like when I talk to athletes and we talk about entrepreneurship. There are skills that are carried over in this part of your life that come over here and vice versa, right? So this is good. So what do you have coming up? Anything big that we need to talk about?
Nothing. I'm just going to go take a nap after this. I'm nonstop. Like right after we get off here, I'm going to be working on this EDM single that is a bit like Neon Dreams. Those of you who kind of want to get an idea, you can check out Spotify. And the reason why I'm working on that at the moment is because my listeners are looking for more diversity. Like the last 5 songs have been symphonies, like cinematic symphonies, really for film. And I'm kind of going back to where I was about a year or two ago with the dancing and like the upbeat kind of fun music for the clubs.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, you are doing awesome stuff, and I want to congratulate you on that and being able to follow, your passion and do the things that you want to do and inspire others. So any words that you would like to impart upon our listeners? Maybe somebody, these are entrepreneurs and maybe they're in their craft or they want to do something creative or whatever, anything that you would like to impart on them.
So just sort of speaking to my own experience, that's all I can do. I would say that finding your happy place takes a lot of work. Nothing happens overnight. It takes a lot of soul searching, reading some books, maybe having some mentors we were talking about. But in the end, it takes a real commitment to your craft. If you're good at something and you see that there's a possibility of earning an income, or you're already earning something part time, just don't give up. I fail every day, and most people would consider me pretty accomplished as a musician, producer, live performer, and I didn't get to where I am now without a whole lot of sweat and tears. It's been a challenging journey, but it's just my secret, if you will, is essentially like routine. Just getting up every morning, just kind of chipping away at the rock or whatever you will on a daily basis. So putting the effort. That's my last. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Asher. That was awesome. All right. So they're going to find you now because we're going to have your name out there. But if they want to maybe go to a website or whatever, where would you like us to send them?
Sure. AsherLobb.com, AsherLaub.com. That's my website. And that'll kind of send you out to the social media platforms, streaming platforms. Asher Lobb. I think I'm the only one in the country. You can check out my shenanigans on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, so on and so forth. You can stream my original music on Spotify, iTunes, and a million other platforms.
And you're pretty easy to find, so I don't think anybody have trouble. But I always like to ask that question. But yeah, I Googled you. You're not that hard to find out there. So, and you do great work. I love your music. You do great stuff. So I think it's awesome. Congratulations to you that you're able to do that. Thank
you so much. And I welcome DMs and comments and anything like that. I always try to connect with people.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, to our listeners, we do want to say if you enjoy our show, head on over to Apple, give us a review there. You can hit that subscribe button on the YouTube so you can follow us and we can continue sharing all these, I like to say, cool stories. They're extraordinary stories. And as I always say, in order to live the extraordinary, you must start. And every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, be kind to one another. We will see you next time.